water for when I choke, when I have nothing to say and I suddenly start choking out of nowhere. That happens a lot with me. But anyway, since time immemorial, romantic love has actually held its universal utility. Even though I feel like human beings often experience love in fractions and not as a whole. And I don't really think there is any advice that cuts across generations that can get you to romantic love. Still, we love love. However, younger people like you and me, we're renouncing the utility of universal love. Um, and I don't need to go deep on this because you can already know that through the changing attitudes when it comes to cohabitation, marriage, the fact that people would rather live with their dogs, they would rather delay marriage, they would rather not marry at all. And fertility rates for countries like South Korea and Japan are so low. I don't even know if K-pop and anime is going to make it to 21st century. And it is because of something that was supposed to be super fun, but is a public hazard: dating. You get lied, you get ghosted, you get two times. People have rosters and you're at the bottom. Who knows? You're talking to someone who has shelved you like cheap jam. All of this is not just exhausting, it can feel very dehumanizing. And at every phase, you're out here getting treated like a subhuman. You never know, you could be putting proxy for your date's ex until they get back together. If you want to pay off your karma real quick, try dating. So, people, how are we coping? I feel like people are coping in three ways. Number one is dialogue party. The only joy of dating is you do something, you talk about it. You do something, you talk about it. Both the sexes have their own bureaus around shitting on the opposite sex. Brings me to number two, humor. Dark, rage baiting, self deprecating humor. And number three, psychology and philosophy. A lot of us want to understand the why behind our dating woes. So we try to read upon attachment patterns, we try to be trauma informed, and we try to introspect, we try to self examine a lot. We think maybe if we're clear on our patterns and what love means for us, we will find someone. One and two are very natural and chaotic. There's a lot of fun and whimsy in it, but not much scope for anything concrete really. So there's food for thought in a super funny meme, and there is sometimes a super funny meme in something that's supposed to be food for thought. And honestly, none of these really make any sense. And bless the people who possess the skill of separating these memes from their actual rationality, because a lot of people are incapable of doing that. I want to talk a bit about how our belief system on love is generated as a result of 1 and 2. My point is that a lot of beliefs are formed immediately due to the very nature of discourse on this topic, and it happens precisely because there is a huge volume of ideas that's getting socially reinforced every single second and at a very large scale. And the fact that it is so loaded, and if you're constantly getting emotionally stimulated because of a topic, things really stick. But the sexes aren't really holding themselves accountable for what sort of beliefs they're perpetuating, because when generally there's a discourse, there are two parties and there's someone in the middle trying to mediate, right? But more often than not, you'll see people who try to take on the role of a mediator are termed as pick-me's, or yeah, they're not really applauded for wanting to play the jury. So using social media to share your stories is a good thing, but there's no mechanism around it. There's no and I understand that's not even the point. Nobody's really keeping the beliefs they have in check through 1 or 2 is what I mean. That leaves us with number 3, and honestly that's like the only place for any concrete dialogue on the topic. And 3 is done in good faith. A lot of people claim to take psychologically informed take on relationships, men, women, etc. But I feel like most of this is impersonal advice, meaning that it never speaks to you, because obviously you're seeing a person talk about a topic through a screen. You've never met this person, you don't even know their motives, right? And I feel like a lot of content is so loaded again. Suddenly you feel like You're being prepared for psychological warfare against the other gender. Withhold texting, the 3-month rule, the 7-day rule, 200 signs of bare minimum behavior. And number two, I feel like even though psychology and philosophy can offer good perspectives on love, sometimes people don't really ask good questions. For example, wanting to understand the texting pattern of the person you're seeing so that maybe you can replicate it and get them to like you is not really a good question to try to explore and try to solve for. Like it's not a good problem to solve for. All I'm saying is you don't need insights that are so microscopic that they isolate you from other perspectives on love. Asking questions such as, if my love language is spending quality time and the person I'm seeing is into physical touch, what does Reddit think of our relationship? Or I am an INFJ, that person is a ESTP, will we last? Let me see if someone on Quora has written something about it 10 years back. These are not good questions to explore, trust me. Love cannot be understood just as a cultural or psychological phenomena. Which brings me to, what do I have to offer? The $1,000,000 question. Nothing. I don't have any tips to offer. My content is not going to be prescriptive at all. But I'm very interested in situating myself in bigger structures that sort of define our dating experiences, sort of define love today. I am interested in taking a more macro approach on love. I'm not saying using psychology again is bad, but I feel like it's getting overrated. I will still borrow from psychology when I want to understand, let's say, about a certain trauma or a certain disorder that maybe the person that I really love has. I just think that there are new questions on love that we can ask. For example, what did we inherit from our previous generations when it comes to love? Like every generation obviously repackages love and ideas and adds their own flair to things, which is why we have something known as generational difference. But it's true that everything that we have in this very moment, it's been inherited in some or the other form. So it also makes you wonder about other questions on love. Is there a script that women and men are following when it comes to love? For example, if you've ever wondered, why is it so important for a woman that a guy at the very least scoff at the fact that she's a feminist? Because as human beings, our agency around love is not just driven by psychology or biology. It's also driven by sociology. It's also driven by history. It's also driven by politics and economy. And by that, I don't mean that when a woman says, oh, I hope my partner is a feminist so that we can start a political party and be the next Stalin. That's not what she's saying. She's saying she just does not want there to be an imbalance in the power structure of their relationship. And don't worry, these structural forces will never overconsume your decision making, your agency about making decisions on love, but it will find ways to trickle down into your relationship and influence it. I know what you're thinking. Sociology, wow, how romantic. This is the reason why you're not getting anywhere in your dating life. Because you're willing to have a PhD in the goss, but you don't want to understand the 2 plus 2 of sociology. That might help you understand where did you import your beliefs on love. Anyway, I'll end this video here and come back with another one. But all I wanted to say is that if you're interested in exploring structural problems in love from a width of disciplines, I would suggest you to get hooked on, because in the next video, I will talk about the first fundamental problem, which I like to call the love gap, which is essentially a huge gap in the expectations, beliefs, definitions, and even the general conduct of men and women in heterosexual relationships. So, quick premise: heterosexuals admit that they want love, that they want all the good things in love, but whether it's friendship, whether it's and friendship in relation to love and relationships, whether it's a topic of intimacy, emotional labor, or long-term commitment or the social value of love, they seem to differ on everything. And how things like ghosting or breadcrumbing or fucking coercion and even cheating are reactive symptoms of this gap. Trust me, how a little bit of sociology and a little bit of history can perhaps help bridge that gap. Yeah.